Ian and I had been locked in a toxic dance for nearly a decade. He paraded one lover after another in public, while I clung tightly to half his fortune. We each held the other's weakness in our hands, neither of us willing to be the first to yield. But today, I was ready to end it. Because I was dying. I stared at the diagnosis in my hand for a long time before calling Ian. "Where are you? What does it matter?" Even as husband and wife, asking each other's whereabouts felt like crossing a line. "Come home," I said, tapping my fingers on the table. "Let's get a divorce." A cold laugh came from the other end, followed by silence. I wasn't surprised. I had said this too many times, mostly just to see him. Of course, he didn't believe me. I waited 2 days. He never came back. Staring at the piece of paper that spelled out my end, I realized I couldn't wait anymore. I grabbed my bag and left. There was one way I could always draw Ian out, it had never failed. I knocked on a door. Not too hard, just enough. "Miss Lee?" The delicate woman who opened it stared at me like I was a nightmare in heels. I rolled my eyes. "Tell Ian to come home. I want a divorce. Make sure you pass it on properly. Out of all his flings, you've got the most potential. If we divorce, maybe you'll be the next Mrs. Ross." Her eyes reddened. "Miss Lee, I never." I cut her off with a sigh. "Spare me. Just deliver the message. If he's not home tomorrow, I'll come back and destroy this place. Think your little doorbell's going to stop me?" I turned and left. No more words needed. If everything went according to plan, I'd see Ian tonight. He adored Mary. He'd never tolerate me threatening her. Sure enough, by nightfall, he stormed into my house, fury in his eyes. "I told you to stay away from Mary." I lazily poured a glass of wine. "And if I didn't? What would you do?" He couldn't touch me, so he retaliated with what hurt most, words. "I don't know what game you're playing. Mary's obedient. There's no love between us anymore, but you won't let me go. And now you won't even let me keep someone I care about? Do you want everyone to be as miserable as you?" Crash. The wine glass shattered in my hand. He was right. I was miserable. That's why I held on. Even when there was nothing left between us, I refused to let go. I tilted my head and said coldly, "Exactly. If I'm stuck in hell, I won't let you get to heaven." But I was exhausted. Every meeting ended in a fight. What was the point? I refilled the glass, sat across from him, and pushed the divorce papers forward. "Sign them. Even if I'm headed to hell, I don't want to see you there. We hated each other in life. Let's not carry that into death." Ian stiffened, but said nothing as he flipped through the documents. I studied him through the wine glass. Still handsome, strong brows, deep eyes, sharp nose, cold lips. No wonder he was heartless. Some people just stayed beautiful forever. So unfair. His eyes narrowed. "What's your angle this time?" I chuckled softly. "I just want this house. You can keep everything else. I'm giving up all our joint assets. Isn't it obvious?" He was skeptical. I'd always demanded more from him. But this house, old and worthless to most, was everything to me. It was our home. I couldn't bear the idea of another woman living here with him. Selfish? Maybe. But it was also enough to buy a decent burial plot. A fair trade, home for a resting place. Ian studied the papers again and finally said, "I'll have my lawyer draft a new agreement. You'll get the house, and I'll throw in 10 million. Then we're done." I arched a brow. So that's what 10 years of marriage was worth to him. "Your lawyer? You don't trust mine, but expect me to trust yours?" Even now, even as I let go, I couldn't stop myself from jabbing at him. I sighed, tired. "Fine." He grabbed the papers and headed for the door. "My assistant will bring the revised contract tomorrow. Sign it immediately." He had waited too long for this. He probably wouldn't sleep tonight, busy with lawyers, preparing for the worst. "Sure," I said. "The sooner, the better." Still suspicious, he paused at the door. "Take the money and leave C-City. We both need to move on." Bitterness rose in my throat. I shoved him out and slammed the door shut. Let distance do what time could not. The next day, his assistant came by, polite, polished, overpaid. "President Lee. Everyone at the company knew our messy story. Mary had delivered him lunch daily like she was starring in her own soap opera. And Ian, in a fit of pettiness, made her my assistant. She didn't last long. Before she settled in, he filed for divorce. I never returned to the company after that. No one called me President Lee anymore, except this assistant. I flipped to the last page and signed. "Would you like to review it, President Lee?" "No need. Nothing left to see." I handed it back with a smile. "Tell your President Ross to meet me at the Civil Affairs office in a month. He better not be late." I didn't have time to waste. "Understood." He bowed and left. We exited the building, one after the other. Ian didn't want me to stay in C-City. Truthfully, I didn't want to stay either. Like fallen leaves returning to their roots, I wanted to go home. The journey was uneventful. When I stepped onto the soil of Qingcheng, I realized I hadn't returned in nearly 5 years. The first place I went was the cemetery. Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandma, I'm home. Ian was right, there was no one left. I leaned against a gravestone and sat quietly. My parents died in a car crash when I was little. After college, I lost my grandparents one by one. I had them buried close together, thinking it'd be easier for me to visit. I even bought a plot for myself nearby. Partly because I miss you, and partly because the feng shui here isn't bad. Haha. I didn't stay long. The early winter chill had already settled in, and snowflakes drifted down, stinging my skin. Alright, I'm heading back. We'll see each other soon, and then I'll tell you everything about that bastard Ian. Brushing off the dust from my coat, I murmured to myself and turned to leave. As I passed Qingqing High, it was dismissal time. I stopped at the school gates. The students, still in uniform, were beaming. Even a short weekend felt like joy at that age. I stood there for a long while before stepping in. Hey, what are you doing? The security guard blocked me. I quickly replied, a teacher called for a parent. I'm late, he'll be upset. Maybe it was the redness in my eyes, or maybe my performance was convincing, but he let me through. Breathing a sigh of relief, I wandered through the campus. Students were sweeping the yard. Boys tossed snowballs at girls, who shrieked and chased them with brooms. I couldn't help smiling. For a moment, I saw my younger self again, and Ian, standing beside me. I shook the thought away and walked toward the main building. The path was still etched into my memory. Senior year, class 5, still on the first floor. The classroom was empty. I gently tried the door. Click. It opened. Step by step, I entered. The old smell of chalk and wood carried the weight of time. I counted the desks, then sat down in my old seat, resting my head in my arms. 1, 2, 3. That was our little game in high school. When I counted to 3, Ian would always appear. I lifted my head. And there he was, in my mind's eye, young and glowing, smiling as he reached out his hand. Sienna, let's go home. The sunlight poured over him like gold. 1, 2, 3. I blinked. The illusion broke. Sighing, I stood up to leave. Before walking out, I looked back one last time. In that empty classroom, I saw a young girl raise her head and place her hand in a boy's. A blink later. Gone. Like a dream. There was no going back. I spent a month in Qingcheng. Winter came quickly. By the time I returned to Sea City, the air felt strangely warm, almost unfamiliar. You took your sweet time, Ian muttered coldly. I yawned, brushing past him with a roll of my eyes. What, brought your little mistress to the divorce too? Gotta get this done quick so you can dash off to the wedding? Mary stood behind him, timid and pale. Just looking at her annoyed me. My voice dripped with sarcasm. Watch your tone, Ian warned. Mary's not feeling well. I'm taking her to the hospital. I rubbed my hands, more irritated than before. How touching. Go on then. I've got time. Ian's patience wore thin. He grabbed my wrist. Quit stalling. I planted my feet. What, you going to drag me in? Want a scene? Mary began crying. Please, don't fight. Disgust churned in my stomach. Ian, if you weren't such trash, I would have signed ages ago. If you want this divorce so badly, either knock me out and drag me in, or get lost. His face turned crimson with fury. He glared at me before pulling Mary away. But the rage inside me didn't fade. It burned hotter. I marched straight into a nearby store and bought a baseball bat. It felt good in my hand. Solid. Without hesitation, I hailed a cab to Mary's apartment. I called a locksmith and asked the building manager, who owns this place? Mr. Ian, he replied respectfully. I smiled, pulling out my marriage certificate. It's marital property. Open it. The locksmith got to work. Once the door opened, I sent them both away and walked in. Ian really loved taking pictures with Mary. He rarely smiled, but there were plenty of smiles in these photos. After graduation, we had stopped taking photos. Then came the nights back-to-back. Then separate rooms. Eventually, we didn't live together at all. That's when I knew our marriage had died. When he began bringing other women home. I walked through the apartment and spotted something familiar, a small purple jade ornament. I had bought it for my grandmother. She never lived to receive it. I searched everywhere for it, and here it was, used to please his mistress. Heh. No more hesitation. I swung the bat. The sound of wood crashing into glass echoed through the apartment. Shards flew. The rage inside me burst free. I must have swung too hard. Blood dripped to the floor. I wiped my nose, smearing red, and turned. Mary stood in the doorway, pale with terror. Behind her, Ian, livid. Sarah. I feigned a gag. Don't say my name. It makes me want to puke. I pressed the bat to his chest, staring him down. Tomorrow. Civil Affairs Office. Don't be late. The fury in my chest had finally found an exit. This marriage. I couldn't endure it another second. Sarah, I've had enough of you. He slammed me against the wall. Blood rushed from my nose again, but I just tilted my head back. His hands trembled. What the hell is wrong with you? I slipped away easily. You and your mistress pissed me off. That's all. I hoisted the bat onto my shoulder, sneering. Ian, I'm done. Sign the damn papers. You go your way, I go mine. Let's never see each other again. Not in this life. Not in the next. It hurt too much. Far too much. The next day, Ian came alone. He'd learned his lesson. We didn't speak. We signed the papers in silence. Once the red seals were stamped, it was official, we were divorced. He didn't say a word. Just turned and walked away, not even sparing a glance. I stood there for a while, watching him leave. And then, a memory surfaced. That winter night years ago. He had pressed a warm water bottle into my hands and said, Sienna, you go first. I'll stay and watch until you're gone. His hands had been so warm. His gaze so sincere. That warmth had carried me through many winters. Now, I exhaled into the cold air, wiped my eyes, and boarded a bus out of Sea City. Ian, I guess this is goodbye. For real this time. I checked into a hospital and went through treatment half-heartedly. Bed 18. Why did you pull out your 4 again? The scolding came from a young intern nurse, hands on her hips, eyes sharp and voice sharper. She was efficient and quick, and just as swift with her reprimands. I shrank my shoulders and let her lecture me without protest. Are you trying to skip treatment? Say something. I blinked, half sincere and half playful. It's too cold. Can I get a hot water bottle? She narrowed her eyes at me but still came back with a small hand warmer. No more pulling out your 4, you hear me, she said as she leaned down to check the needle site. Doesn't it hurt? My nose stung a little. It had been a long time since someone asked me that. The people who used to care about me were all gone. I forced a smile. Nope. Doesn't hurt. Thank you, Nurse Anna. That was a lie. After 2 weeks, the backs of my hands were so bruised and full of holes I couldn't feel them anymore. At night, when the pain kept me from sleeping, I'd walk the quiet halls with my 4 stand in tow. One night, I passed by the nurse's station and saw Anna sitting there, quietly wiping away tears. I tapped her desk lightly. What's wrong? Startled, she looked up. Shuh. Why aren't you in bed? I pointed to my 4-pole. Can't sleep. Just taking a stroll. She gave me a look, then reached out and touched my forehead. Does it hurt? I meant to say no, but... I nodded. She motioned for me to sit. So I did. We shared a chunk of overly sweet bread, watched 5 absurdly dramatic episodes of a romance series, and emptied a box of tissues between us. By sunrise, she shooed me back to my room. As I stood to go, I warned her, wait for me before watching the next episodes. I remember the plot now, don't you dare skip ahead. Anna laughed. All right, now get some sleep. After 3 late-night drama binges, I got a call at midnight. It was Ian. Where are you? I raised an eyebrow. Why do you care? Funny. He never had the right to ask me that when we were married. What made him think he could now? He went silent. Then hung up. Just like that, my good mood vanished. Annoyed, I blocked his number. Anna, sitting beside me, tilted her head. Was that family? I waved her off. I don't have any. They're all gone. She nodded toward my phone. Then who was he? I glanced at the screen, smirked. Just some annoying bastard. A very persistent one. One phone call didn't shake me. I continued sleeping through the day, enduring treatment, and walking the halls at night. If Anna was on duty, we watched dramas together. But pests never knocked just once. A week later, I got a message from an unfamiliar number. Did you block me? I rolled my eyes and blocked that number too. Ian had made a fortune over the years, and somewhere along the way, developed a spoiled, stubborn streak. He didn't know how to quit. Just as I managed to fall asleep, his calls started up again, jarring me awake. Right. I forgot. He used to be a rich, spoiled brat. I picked up, irritation pouring from every word. What the hell do you want? His voice came through. Why aren't you at home? TCH, I rubbed my temples, exhausted but barely holding on to my patience. What is it now, Ian? Which account should I transfer your money to? Any of them. Why are you calling over something so trivial? Don't hang up. I pulled the phone closer and sneered. Then spit it out or shut up. His tone turned sharp. Why aren't you at home? Wait. Something clicked. You're at my place? I suggest you leave right now, I warned. The house is listed with an agent. Anyone could drop by to view it. Don't mess up the sale. You're selling it? His voice rose. You're selling our house? My irritation spiked. Why, should I keep it to lay eggs in? Get out of there before I call the cops. Where are you? He demanded. And that was the last straw. None of your damn business. Click. Blocked. Deleted. I stayed awake the rest of the night, silently cursing him 1,000 times over. No matter how angry I was, I still had to let Anna drag me to treatment. And in my hometown, it was inevitable that I'd run into someone from my past. Sienna? I turned. Isabella. We had been best friends in high school. There was no avoiding the reunion. Anna let me go out for a while. I chose hot pot. How've you been? Isabella asked hesitantly. I smiled. Not bad. Plenty of money, not much time. Her chopsticks trembled. She stared at me. Only then did I notice her eyes glistening. Hey, what's wrong? I panicked and fumbled for tissues to wipe her tears. What? What kind of illness? I waved my hand. One that can't be cured. Don't worry, I won't drop dead right this second. I looked out the window. I want to die on a sunny day. Winter is too cold. She sniffled, then quietly asked, Are you still with Luke? Her expression dimmed. She nodded. I didn't say anything. Not everyone figures things out in time. If she was happy, that was enough. As we stepped outside, I stomped my feet to keep warm. Can I ask you a favor? Of course. What is it? Don't tell anyone you saw me. And, if you can, come visit me more often. Maybe it was the wind, or maybe something else, but her eyes turned red again. Okay. Ian doesn't know, does he? No. We're divorced. He doesn't need to. She fell silent. We both stared ahead, lost in thought. Back then, Ian and I were inseparable. Isabella had always trailed after Luke. But time was merciless. No matter how golden the past once was, it had long since faded to dust. Back in my room, Anna caught me sneaking in hot pot and gave me a proper scolding. I took it quietly, swearing I wouldn't do it again. But instead of leaving, she returned with a pair of scissors. I covered my head. No. What now? We argued for 2 whole days. It was just one meal. Why cut my hair too? Anna remained calm. You're starting chemo. Your hair's going to fall out anyway. Better to cut it off now. I hesitated. What if I don't do chemo? She exploded. I laughed, raising my hands in surrender. Okay, I'll think about it, alright? Before she could respond, a tall figure entered the room and walked straight toward me. Who are you looking for? He ignored her. Just stared at me with that same cold expression, as if trying to see through some trick I was pulling. He's here for me, I told Anna. It's okay. Go on. She looked him up and down, then frowned at me. Leaning in, she whispered, Call me if anything happens. I nodded. After she left, I finally spoke. Shouldn't you be with Mary for New Year's? Valentine's Day, Christmas, New Year's, Mary always had a reason to keep Ian busy. Over time, I'd grown to hate holidays. They only reminded me how alone I was. Eventually, I got used to it. Even learned to enjoy the solitude. And yet, here he was again, ruining it. What kind of game are you playing now? Pain stabbed through my chest. Turns out, even when you're used to the knife, reopening the wound still hurts. I sighed. Sure. Another one of my tricks. Don't fall for it. Now get out. He reached for me. Come with me. Caught off guard, I stumbled a few steps before yanking my arm away. Let go. We're nothing to each other anymore. Why are you here? He finally let go. Don't think you can use your illness to milk more money out of me. We're divorced. You remember that, right? For a second, my whole body felt hollow. The blood in my veins turned slow and cold. I didn't even want to argue. I shoved him toward the door. Get out. Take your money and go back to your precious mistress. Get out of my sight. I practically screamed. Ian clenched his jaw, straightened his collar, and stormed out. The door slammed shut behind him. Anna peeked into the room, her voice cautious. Are you okay? I was pale. If I say no, does that mean I can skip the 4? Nope. Then I'm fine. After that encounter, Ian didn't show up again. I enjoyed an entire week of peace. Isabella, on the other hand, came by often. We didn't talk much, afraid that even one wrong word might sting, but the silence between us was warm, not awkward. I secretly hoped she'd sneak me some snacks, but Anna always caught us red-handed and confiscated everything. I suffered in silence. As the Lunar New Year crept closer, Anna leaned in, her tone conspiratorial. It's getting colder. I chuckled. They say the 7th and 8th days of the 12th lunar month freeze 2 or 3 to death. Clouds of white breath puffed into the air as I counted down the days. Even stepping out for a breath of fresh air required keeping an eye on the clock. If I stayed out too long, Anna would lecture me. I turned a little too quickly and bumped straight into someone. Dizzy from the collision, I stepped back instinctively. Sorry. As I rubbed my forehead and tried to walk past, a hand grabbed my wrist. Sarah. I froze. Looking up, I saw Ian's face. If it hadn't been so freezing, I might have slapped him. What do you want? I snapped, glaring at him. He looked rough, tired, unshaven. Nothing like the usual well-groomed Ian. What's wrong? Only been a few days since the divorce, already bankrupt? Or did your darling mistress dump you? My words were laced with venom. But strangely, he didn't argue. He just stared at me. Something in that silence unsettled me. I rolled my eyes and turned to leave. Sienna. I jumped back like I'd been burned. What the hell? It had been years since he called me that. Hearing it now felt off. Like an old song out of tune. His gaze shifted. Why didn't you tell me you were sick? My mind went blank. Then a surge of irritation rose. Why would I? What's it got to do with you? Silence again. Then he murmured, we were husband and wife, once. I let out a dry laugh. Don't talk about that so-called marriage. Falling for you was the worst decision I ever made. We had a deal, I'd leave C-City, you'd go live your happy life. So do us both a favor and stop showing up. I turned and walked away. But he didn't leave. He just followed. That night, maybe because of the stress of seeing him again, I couldn't sleep. Checking the nurse's schedule, I saw Anna was on duty and grabbed my stand to head out. But I barely made it 2 steps out of my room before nearly tripping over someone curled up on a bench. Under the soft moonlight, I finally saw the face. Ian. No pleasantries. I kicked his leg. What are you doing here? He blinked awake, rubbing his eyes. Where are you going? Are you in pain? His words caught me off guard. Annoyed, I snapped, I'd feel a whole lot better if you disappeared. He sighed, rubbing his face. I'm not leaving. It took me forever to find you. I narrowed my eyes. Why were you looking for me? He said nothing. I didn't bother pushing. Fine. Suit yourself. But if you keep loitering, I'm calling security. Then I left him behind and joined Anna for our nightly drama session. During a commercial break, Anna leaned in. He stood outside your door for a long time today. Just watched. Never came in. I let out a sigh. So he hadn't left after I yelled at him. He'll leave soon, I said. Ignore him. Ian was always practical. He had a beautiful woman waiting for him. A successful company. No reason to hang around. Anna hesitated. He asked for your medical records. I frowned. Please tell me you didn't give them to him. I didn't, she said. But others might. He told them he's your husband. I nearly choked. That's a lie. He's my ex-husband. Ex. Before I could rant more, a shadow fell over me. I turned, and nearly jumped out of my skin. Why are you still following me? Ian's expression was dark. This isn't about money. I let out a long breath, staring at the ceiling. If not money, then what? So there I was, sitting cross-legged on my hospital bed. Facing Ian. Fine. You win. Happy now? Just tell me what you want. A number. How much? He didn't answer. Instead, he gently tucked my hand back under the blanket and reached out, lightly holding my foreline. Rest, okay, he said softly. Don't pull this act, I waved him off. How about this, draw up the contract to transfer the house to me. I'll sign it. Then you can disappear. Sound good? His jaw clenched. Sarah, one day, your mouth is going to be the death of me. I scoffed. Hate to break it to you, but I might die before you get the chance. Outside, the wind howled, sharp as knives. And then Ian cried. I'm not dead yet and you're already auditioning for Grieving Widow? I waved my hand in front of his face, but my chest ached. Sienna? I regret it. Please don't scare me like this. His voice trembled. He reached out and hooked his pinky with mine. He still remembered. Back in school, whenever he made me mad, he'd crouch in front of me and gently loop our pinkies together. Sienna, don't be mad, okay? Sienna's the best. I like Sienna the most. Don't be angry, alright? Get out. Furious, I kicked him off the bed. I hated when he tried to act like we were still 18. Like he could still win me over with a little smile, then turn around and break my heart again. But what I hated even more, was myself. For always falling for it. Ian stood, wounded. I'll be just outside. If you need anything, just call. Get out. If he stayed one more second, I really might cry. Of course I still missed him. But no matter how much I longed for him, I could never go back to the Ian I once loved. And I didn't dare believe in the one standing in front of me now. Anna was about to leave for the holiday break. Before she left, she nagged me like a mom. Take your meds. Get your IVs. No pulling out needles. No sneaking off. I sat up and repeated dutifully, take my meds, get my IVs, won't pull needles, won't sneak off. She smiled, satisfied. Then I slumped over the counter and asked, can I get extra painkillers? The nights are rough. Anna shook her head, then leaned in. Why not let that man in? At least for New Year's. Let him keep you company. I pressed my lips together and shook my head. It hurt too much. Seeing him outside my door only made it worse. On New Year's Eve, Ian didn't show up. I told myself I didn't care. I wandered the halls a bit, then went back to my room to watch TV. Outside, fireworks exploded in bursts of light and sound. I leaned against the window, soaking in a little of the festive warmth from afar. Then, knock, knock. Sienna, Happy New Year. Ian stood in the doorway, smiling, holding a cake in his hands. The soft candlelight flickered in his eyes. Sienna, make a wish. He held the cake out to me, eager and hopeful. I didn't move. One hand on the doorframe, I stared at him, unreadable. Ian, you're ridiculous. Then, with a sharp breath, I blew out the candle. 2 years ago, on New Year's Eve, I told you I was lonely. I wanted you to stay with me. And you did, until 11 p.m. You said you had to work. That your partner's company didn't celebrate holidays. A bitter laugh escaped me. Work? I heard everything. Mary was crying on the phone. Said she was scared. Said she needed you. I leaned against the door, arms crossed. That night, I spent New Year's Eve alone. It was the coldest winter I'd ever known. And from that night on, New Year's stopped meaning anything to me. You forgot. But I didn't. I stopped looking forward to New Year's a long time ago. And now, I didn't have any left to wait for. Ian's hands trembled slightly, as if he were searching for an excuse. I didn't want to hear it. I know. She was pregnant back then, wasn't she? Of course you had to stay with her. I let out a slow breath, eyes dull. My biggest regret is that I didn't see things clearly. I actually thought you would change. If I had realized sooner, maybe I'd still have wishes left to make. I wish I could live to 100. Can you make that happen? Then I slammed the door in his face. Did it hit him? I hoped it did. Maybe it could finally put a dent in that perfect face of his. Later, Isabella came to visit. She glanced at the door and asked quietly, is that Ian out there? I replied without missing a beat, nope. That's just a persistent parasite. She sighed softly. Are you sure you want to cut it? Yeah. Anna's too busy, don't bother her. Just help me do it. I was reluctant, but there was no point in clinging to it. Silently, Isabella raised the scissors and cut away the last of my long hair. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. Now, I looked like a patient. A terminal one. The pain was getting worse. I could barely move around. I asked Anna to help me find a caregiver. Someone efficient. Someone quick. I can afford it. True to her word, Anna made the arrangements the next day. But Ian blocked the doorway. I'll take care of you, he said softly, but with a firmness that didn't invite argument. I was in too much pain to fight him properly, but I still squeezed out one word, leave. You've said that too many times, he replied calmly. I've grown immune to it. Damn him. How could I have forgotten? Ian had always been my worst opponent. Even when I was at my weakest, he still found ways to challenge me. The moment I had enough strength, I hurled whatever was within reach. Get out, but instead of retreating, he knelt down beside me. Sienna, let's go back to Sea City for treatment, okay? I tilted my head and looked him dead in the eye. Ian, do you even know what terminal means? This isn't treatment. It's a countdown. I don't want it. I didn't want to go back to Sea City. That place held too many memories I'd rather leave buried. You don't know that, he said. Maybe things could improve. I jerked my hand away. Improve for what? My family is in the ground, waiting for me. Why do you keep stopping me from joining them? His voice shook. Sienna, we were a family too. Don't you remember? I let out a bitter laugh. Ian, maybe you need a reality check. Should I hang a banner around your neck that says, I'm divorced? I narrowed my eyes. Let me guess, you've always had a soft spot for sickly girls, haven't you? Your first assistant got sick, and suddenly you two were a thing. Then there's Mary, always disappearing into hospitals. Then it hit me. A ridiculous realization. I get it now. You like fragile girls. Ian turned pale. That's not true. I snorted. Get yourself checked. Even looking at him made me sick. Don't block me from hiring a caregiver. And don't even dream about inheriting a cent from me. I'd rather throw my money off a cliff than leave it to you. Ian said nothing. Eyes red, he quietly placed a basin in front of me. Fine. Do whatever you want. As he gently patted my back, tears dripping down his face, I felt even more nauseous. I emptied everything in my stomach right then and there. After that, he no longer stopped the caregiver from entering. But sometimes, he still helped with the chores. I pretended not to see it. As long as he stayed out of my sight, I could tolerate it. On the night of the Lantern Festival, the caregiver asked for a day off. I agreed without hesitation. Her grandson's sweet little voice was like honey, and I liked him. Fireworks crackled outside the window. I leaned against the cold glass, watching the bursts of light fill the sky. Sienna, it's cold over there. I turned. Ian. He had never left. For over a month, he had stayed here, sleeping on the bench outside my room. At first, Anna tried to drive him off. But eventually, she came to me and whispered, "He warms your 4 bags every night while you sleep." I just couldn't bring myself to make him leave. "Ian," I said quietly, "want to take a walk?" The Lantern Festival had always meant something different to us. When we were young, Ian used to sneak away from his family gatherings, take my hand, and drag me to the street market behind our school. He'd spend all his New Year's money on snacks for me. Despite the obligations of his powerful family, he always found a way to escape, dressed neatly in a little suit, that playful grin never missing from his face. Out of all the days in the year, this was the one I looked forward to most. Once, I asked him, "What if your family doesn't approve of me?" He had smiled and pulled me into his arms. "Then we'll run away. Just like this." And in the end, we did. The Ross family wanted him to marry someone of equal status. Not an orphan with no background. He refused. And that year, on the Lantern Festival, he took my hand and left the city behind. I still remember that bumpy train ride. I curled up in his arms and said, "Ian, I don't have a family anymore." He held me tighter and whispered, "Then we'll make one. I'll be your family." His hands had been so warm. His heart beat so strong. I remembered every word. Every promise. But time kept moving forward, and somewhere along the way, we became strangers. I didn't want to remember anymore. "I want that," I said, pointing at a grilled sausage. Ian hesitated. "Sienna." I rolled my eyes and stepped forward. "Forget it. I'll get it myself. The smoke over there's too thick anyway." I took a bite. And for a brief second, I could almost taste the past. Then I made him buy candied hawthorns, fish balls, and even shaved ice. When my hands were too full, I piled the rest on Ian like he was my personal tray. I took a bite of everything. Slowly. Deliberately. Savoring each familiar taste. "Sienna," he said suddenly. "Shut up." I shot him a glare. "If you want to ruin my night, leave. Sienna, maybe eat a little less?" His voice cracked. I looked up. His eyes were red. "What the hell are you crying for?" I sighed and brushed past him, quickening my pace. "Are you just hanging around to see when I die?" Ian caught up in a panic. Sienna, I didn't mean it that way. Please, keep eating." "I don't want to." If I was angry, then he didn't deserve peace either. "It's all bad for me." "Is that what you want? For me to die faster?" Ian's head dropped. He said nothing. I kept walking. Then I felt a gentle tug on my sleeve. "Sienna, want some rice noodles? From the back alley?" That shop. We used to go there every year. I loved their noodles. Maybe it was the food. Maybe it was the group of students rushing past. Maybe it was the man beside me, dressed in a suit, eyes lowered just like before. Whatever it was, I finally nodded. Okay. The restaurant had changed hands. The chubby old owner was gone, replaced by a young couple. They were friendly and welcoming, but I still found myself missing the old man. The flavors had shifted too, more modern than nostalgic. I barely touched my food. Ian didn't eat much either. When we went to pay, the couple hesitated, concerned. "Was it not to your liking? You hardly ate." I waved my hand. "No, it's just that I preferred the old taste. Just that I missed what was gone. Food, people. Once they change, they never go back." On the walk back, fireworks lit up the sky. I looked at Ian's face and thought. The privileged are always the ones most loved. "Make a wish," he said. I stopped and rubbed my nose. "Then hurry up." He bent forward, his face close to mine. His voice was steady, but there was something deep in it, something unshakable. "If the heavens are listening? I wish I could go back." I gave him a faint smile. "The heavens heard you. And they said, wishes don't count if you say them out loud." But the truth was, I had already made that wish countless times. Time doesn't rewind. What's lost stays lost. The night felt too flawless, almost unreal. So I finally spoke. "About Mary's baby, it wasn't me." Ian's face tensed. "You made her my assistant." Yes, I was angry. "But if you really think I would hurt a child that wasn't even fully formed." My voice cut like glass. "It was her lies that were revolting. And you believed her." Fury rushed through me. I didn't let him follow me in. "You make me sick." I slammed the door in his face. Again. Not long after, I couldn't get out of bed anymore. The doctor suggested surgery. It was risky, but maybe, it could buy a few more months. That was how I interpreted his words. I refused. Ian didn't. I scoffed. Your opinion doesn't count. You're not even legally allowed to sign my forms anymore. He cried. I turned away from him. We're nothing now. Nothing. No one gets to decide for me anymore. Even when I couldn't stand, I never let Ian inside my room. He slept on the bench outside the door. Anna tried, once, to gently persuade me. Why don't you let him in? He's been out there so long. I looked at her in horror. Anna, aren't you supposed to be on my side? She laughed. I am. But don't you sneak out at night to cover him with a blanket? Damn it. I lost the first round. But I still didn't let him in. This is the only thing I have left to insist on, I told her. At the end of my life, my last wish was to be fair to myself. I couldn't forgive him. Because that would mean betraying everything I had endured. Since he wasn't allowed in, Ian started sending flowers. Every day, a bouquet of white roses, my favorite. I toyed with the petals and told Isabella with a smile, when you come visit my grave, bring these instead, okay? I don't like chrysanthemums. She paused a moment, then nodded. Okay. The next day, Ian sent pink roses. I smirked. Got it. Isabella, you little traitor. A spy for the enemy. But I didn't call her out. Pink roses were fine, too. Sleep didn't come easily anymore. Every time I opened my eyes, I saw a blurry shadow sitting beside the bed. At first, I thought I was hallucinating. Maybe my body was giving out. Maybe my family had come to take me with them. Then the figure would take my hand and whisper, Sienna, I was wrong. Oh. It was just Ian. His tears were warm, like his hands. For someone so cold, his touch always burned. I closed my eyes and drifted back to sleep. Telling him to leave was too exhausting. Sleep mattered more. Every night, he sat by my side, murmuring softly, Sienna, you don't want me anymore. Don't want you. Sienna, you've gotten so thin. I'm sick. Sienna, please forgive me. I sent everyone else away. From now on, I'll come home on time. I'll tell you I love you every day. Just like before. My nose stung. I opened my eyes, staring at him. Ian, is it because you know I always forgave you? Is that why you keep testing me? He went silent. Sienna, I was wrong. I tilted my head. Wrong about what? Was it when you got bored and chased someone new? Or when you realized I was dying and panicked, so you came running back out of guilt? No, it's not that. But at 18 or 28, Ian cried the same way. Lips trembling. Tears falling like rain. Ian, you stopped loving me a long time ago. Stop pretending. I forced myself upright. Even if I got better today and went home with you, it wouldn't take long. You'd get tired again. You like the excitement of something new. Give it 5 years, 10 tops, there'd be another girl at the door. And we'd be back where we started. I wouldn't, he whispered. I didn't acknowledge it. You'd bring them to me. Ask for a divorce. They'd cry and say they were scared, and you'd go to them. They'd say they were sad, and you'd leave me to comfort them. They'd talk about a pregnancy or miscarriage, and I'd be cast as the villain again. Sienna. I cut him off. It's okay. Really. I never wanted to keep you tied to me. I just didn't want you lying to yourself. How can you confuse guilt with love? Ian broke down, burying his face in his hands. He looked like a dog left out in the cold. He wrapped his arms around me, sobbing against my shoulder. I love you, Sienna. I really, really love you. I scoffed. Liar. I had seen what his love looked like. Why try to trick me now? I lifted my head slightly. I would never cry for Ian again. Not even one tear. I couldn't stay conscious for long stretches anymore. Every time I woke, there was a fresh bouquet of pink roses at my bedside. I stopped blocking Ian from coming in. I just stopped looking at him. Anna did her best to hide her tears while inserting the 4. She was too young for this. Too new to be watching someone fade. I felt sorry for her. I held her hand. Want a gift? She sniffed. What? I'll tell you if you stop crying. I wasn't crying. I smiled. She didn't know. This was a gift she'd only understand after I was gone. Ian helped me bathe. I didn't resist. Just watched him work. You've gotten ugly, I said. Panic crossed his face. He quickly set down the towel. What looks bad? I'll fix it. I shook my head slowly. Don't bother. No amount of fixing can take you back to 18. I had always loved clean, youthful boys. Ian tried to smile and tucked me in gently. Ian, did you stop loving me because I stopped being 18? I was genuinely curious. But he didn't answer. His shoulders shook as quiet sobs racked his body. He cried for a long, long time. That night, he held onto my foreline, his fingers brushing my cheek. Sienna will always be the most beautiful. Liar. If that were true, Why did you fall for someone else? I said nothing. Just turned over and went to sleep. After who knows how many times begging Anna for stronger painkillers, the weather finally began to warm. A short reprieve after the last snowfall. Isabella came by with some fresh fruit. I looked out the window and asked, "Can you take me outside? It looks nice today." She glanced around. "Where's Ian?" "Buying flowers." She smiled, then helped me into a thick coat and pushed me toward the door. As we passed the nurse's station, I waved at Anna. She lowered her head, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. I asked Isabella to fetch another coat and waited there quietly. Anna sniffled. "We still haven't finished our drama." I laughed. 300 episodes, we've already watched 298. That means there are still 2 left. She wasn't just stating a fact. She was telling me. She wanted me to come back. Watch the last 2 without me, okay? Make sure you finish them. And I was telling her. I wasn't coming back. Not to this world. I knew what this was. The final flare before the flame goes out. A last burst of energy. Anna opened her mouth, but I stopped her with a small wave. "Anna, you have to be happy, okay? Such a sweet, gentle girl. She deserved a beautiful life." Isabella pushed me outside. I asked her to stop at the spot where the sunlight felt the warmest. Spring had arrived. "Isabella," I asked, "did you tell Ian where I was?" She hesitated, then bent down with a soft smile. "Do you want some water?" I smiled back. "It's all right. I don't mind. Luke's getting married soon, isn't he?" This time, she didn't hesitate. "Yeah. How do you feel about it?" Her gaze drifted far away, voice light as wind. "I don't know." I gave a quiet nod. There wasn't much more to say. "Bow." I called her by her childhood nickname. She flinched. Her eyes turned red. "Bow, do you remember what we used to wish for?" She tried to smile, thinking back. "I wanted to be a baker. We loved sweets so much. I wanted to make desserts that made people happy." Such a simple dream. Isabella had been raised by a single mother. And people like us, people without families, had always clung to each other for warmth. We fought to stay close. Fought not to be forgotten. Winter's chill always melts under spring sunlight. And Ian. Ian had once been the brightest, fiercest light in my life. "Sienna. Sienna." I turned my head. At the window, Ian leaned out, clutching a bouquet of pink roses, desperately calling my name. I watched him from a distance and thought. This is enough. Just one last look. Shall we head back? Isabella whispered, her hands gently resting on the handles of the wheelchair. I raised a hand to stop her, smirking faintly. "Bow, this is your punishment for secretly telling Ian where I was." She would have to send me off alone. Tears brimmed in Isabella's eyes. I reached up and gently wiped them away. "Bow, look, if I had to choose my last sight, this would be it." I pointed toward Ian. "He cares about me. He's worried. He panics when he can't find me. He remembers me." I leaned back, closing my eyes just for a moment. From the first day I met Ian to now, he's been exactly half my life. Half a lifetime. So long, and yet, so short. All the tenderness, all the pain, all from him. The deepest love. The cruelest words. The hardest person to let go. My eyes fluttered shut. My voice trembled. "Bow, how did we end up like this? How did we both fall in love with someone, and lose ourselves? Dreams. Simple wishes. The easiest kind of happiness. When did we forget those?" "Bow," I whispered, reaching for her wrist, voice low and gentle, "sometimes I wish we lived in a fairy tale, where someone always comes to save us. But we don't," I murmured. "We can't." Tears slipped through my fingers, shattering like glass. "Bow, who can save us?" She was crying too hard to answer. And so, I answered for her. "Only we can save ourselves. Bow, I wish for you to be happy. You were always meant to be happy. We both were. We both should have had happiness." Her lips trembled. Tears fell onto the back of my hand, warm, heavy, one after another. She sobbed. Her voice broke. "Sienna, don't go, please, don't go." We had been grown-ups for far too long. So long, we'd forgotten how to say things like this. But at the edge of life and death, some things didn't need to be withheld anymore. I wanted to wipe her tears, but I no longer had the strength. "Bow, go do what you've always wanted. Whatever it was. Even if it meant staying beside Luke for a love that would never be returned. Just, be happy. Be happy for me. Sienna, Sienna, wake up. Do you want to say anything to Ian?" Isabella's tearful voice trembled beside me. My mind was slipping. I felt weightless. Like my soul was beginning to drift. I shook my head. What was left to say? The sweet words, I said them when we were in love. The desperate words, I cried them when I was losing him. The harsh words, I spoke them when my heart finally gave out. What else was left? Everything I ever wanted to say. I had already said. In the end, there was nothing left. I smiled at Isabella, faintly. It's a sunny day. My favorite kind of day. Warm, bright, quiet, even on the road to the underworld. It wouldn't be cold. Sienna. Someone called my name and came running. I opened my eyes. Through the blur, I saw Ian, holding a bouquet of pink roses. He staggered toward me, every step weighed down with desperation. And for one fleeting second, I was back in that spring so many years ago. A teenage boy in a blue and white school uniform, breathless and flushed, stood before me, holding a messy bunch of wildflowers. He looked at me with all the courage he had. Sienna, will you be my girlfriend? I promise, I'll always be good to you. I smiled and took the flowers from his hands. All right, then it's a deal. You better not break your promise. Ian. You broke it. And the tear I had sworn never to shed still slipped silently down my cheek. Spring returned to the earth. And I would never wake again. Epilogue, Ian's perspective. You still don't want to see me, do you? The tombstone said nothing. The smile in the photo remained unchanged, calm, distant. I missed her yelling. Even if it meant her storming into my house, smashing everything in sight with a baseball bat. But none of that would ever happen again. You're so heartless. You didn't even leave me a single word. Not a farewell. Not a final meeting. Only the grave she'd bought for herself years ago. Anna cried until her eyes were swollen. She swore she'd never finish the last 2 episodes without you. I adjusted the bouquet of roses in my hands. And the money you left her, she donated all of it. She said you had great judgment. Said you always chose the right people. Isabella left Luke. Luke never married. He just stands outside her bakery every day, waiting. I know Sienna told her something. Something she never shared with me. Sienna, why don't you ever visit me in my dreams? I brushed a hand across the cold, smooth surface of her photo. Ah, I get it. You must still be mad at me. I opened a bottle of liquor and took a long swig. Sienna, I hate myself too. It started off as something new, something exciting. But somewhere along the line, I lost you. I never wanted to divorce you. You wouldn't believe me now, but I swear, I never wanted that. I thought she'd never really leave. She was always behind me. Every time I turned around, she was there. How could she really be gone? I was too greedy. Sienna, no matter what I say, I know you won't believe me. But it's okay. If you won't come to see me, then I'll go to you. I almost forgot. My wish had always been the same. To build a home with you. After you left? I had no one. I know, I must sound pathetic. Even I think so. How did I not realize what I wanted until it was already too late? You probably think Isabella told me where you were, right? She didn't. I found you on my own. I searched everywhere. Home didn't feel like home. The office didn't feel like anything. I was spiraling. And when I finally found you, you were lying in a hospital bed. I would have preferred you lied to me. Yelled at me. Hit me. Anything but that silence. I wiped my face. The tears wouldn't stop. You'd probably call me a hypocrite. Fake. Crying crocodile tears. I forced a smile. I bought the house back, you know? The one filled with our memories. How could I ever let it go? And that little restaurant behind the school. I took over the lease. It was your favorite. From now on, I'll run it myself. You'd probably yell at me for being stupid. That's fine. In my dreams, I just want to hear your voice again. Suddenly, I remembered something. I dug through my bag and carefully placed the box of pastries on the ground. Isabella made these. Her first batch. She said they were yours. Try them, okay? If they're bad, go haunt her dreams and scold her. I looked down at the flowers. At her smile. At everything that was now only memory. I miss you so much, Sienna. Will you come visit me, just once? But I already knew. She wouldn't. So I closed my eyes and whispered, then I'll come to you. Final epilogue. Isabella stood quietly for a long time. Then, with trembling fingers, she buried Ian's ashes beside Sienna's. It's getting cold. Let's go, Luke said softly, holding an umbrella beside her. She stared at the grave and murmured, I thought Ian would have let go on his own. Luke's eyes darkened. His memories were too heavy. He couldn't let them go. Isabella's voice wavered. Then why did he hurt her in the first place? Luke lowered his head. Because he couldn't see clearly back then. She pulled her coat tighter and turned to leave. I'll walk you to the shop, he offered. But she shook her head and pointed to a figure waiting beneath the trees. No need. My husband's waiting for me. You should go too. It's cold. Memories are heavy. Some burdens are never really put down. No one sees clearly until it's too late. And so, they were always destined to miss each other.